The information literacy competency standards for higher education are built on the premise that developing lifelong learners is central to the mission of higher education institutions. The standards are intended to help students construct a framework for learning how to learn, not only throughout their studies at college or university, but also as they embark on their professional careers and take on roles in their communities. IL competency goes beyond learning about how to access information in formal classroom settings and provides practice with self-directed explorations. In an age where information is available anytime, anywhere, IL is also an essential component of our participation in a democratic society. IL is not seen solely as the purview of the faculty or instructors, but as a collaborative effort across a campus or organization. In the case of a college, for example, IL should be incorporated across curricula and integrated into all programs and services and requires the combined efforts of instructors, librarians, and administrators. In the next segment, Module 3.3, we will examine the role of librarian in promoting IL. In this segment, we focus on the specific role of the instructor to facilitate the development of IL skills through discussions, activities, and assignments. In addition to establishing the context for learning, the instructor's role is to inspire students to explore the unknown, offer guidance on how to best fulfill information needs, and monitor students' progress. Information literacy encompasses more than good information-seeking behavior. It incorporates the abilities to recognize when information is needed and then to phrase questions designed to gather the needed information. It includes evaluating and then using information appropriately and ethically once it is retrieved from any media, including electronic, human, or print sources. Going back to the idea that we want our students to become lifelong learners, developing information literacy skills becomes very important in enabling them to be self-directed learners, because exploring a wide variety of information sources to expand their knowledge, ask informed questions, and sharpen their critical thinking leads to still further self-directed learning. Achieving competency in information literacy requires an understanding that this cluster of abilities is not extraneous to the curriculum. It is not a course unto itself, but it is woven into the entire curriculum's content, structure, and sequence. This kind of curricular integration also offers opportunities to use such student-centered teaching methods as problem-based learning, evidence-based learning, and inquiry learning. Guided by their instructors and other support personnel in problem-based approaches, students reason about course content at a deeper level than is possible through the exclusive use of lectures and textbooks. Looking ahead to Module 4, we will be using a problem-based approach to plan a hypothetical reading week trip. This kind of approach encourages students to become skilled users of information sources in many locations and formats, in collaborative environment, on a deeper level, thereby increasing their responsibility for their own learning. Let's turn our attention now to the actual standards. According to the American Library Association, an informative literate individual is able to determine the extent of information needed, access the needed information effectively and efficiently, evaluate information and its sources critically, incorporate selected information into one's knowledge base, use information effectively to accomplish a specific purpose, understand the economic, legal, and social issues surrounding the use of information, and access and use information ethically and legally. Basically, you can remember the standards this way: know, access, evaluate, incorporate, use, ethics. These 6 competencies form the basis of the IL competency standards for higher education. How does an educator use the standards in his or her practice? Let's take a closer look at one of the standards. Know. Standard 1 states, the information literate student defines and articulates the need for information. This standard is the foundation on which the other standards will build. It seeks to focus an information need, explore various options for meeting this need, and it requires basic understanding of how information is generated, organized, and disseminated. The student must be able to identify these questions. What is it you want to know? What kind of information do you need? How much information do you need? A performance indicator answers the question, what do we want the student to learn? This standard is divided into 4 performance indicators. Number 1, the information literate student defines and articulates the need for information. Number 2, the information literate student identifies a variety of types and formats of potential sources for information. Number 3, the information literate student considers the costs and benefits of acquiring the needed information. Number 4, the information literate student re-evaluates the nature and extent of the information need. Within these 4 performance indicators, several outcomes, which are observable and measurable, are broken down. A learning outcome answers the question, how do we know that the student has learned? Each performance indicator has several learning outcomes. For Standard 1, the first performance indicator is, the information literate student defines and articulates the need for information. The outcomes for this performance indicator are listed on the slide. The outcomes for each standard are particularly useful to the teacher and instructor. For example, if one of your students is having difficulty defining his research topic, Outcome 1D helps you determine what the student needs to do. Perhaps the student needs to modify the information need in order to achieve a more manageable focus. Let's practice using the standards. On the next 2 slides, there are 4 potential problems you have observed while working with your students. How might you address these problems using the standards, the performance indicators, and, specifically, the outcomes? Be sure to make a note of which standard, performance indicator, and outcomes is being addressed in each case. Be prepared to share your findings with your colleagues.